Hello, hello. How is it going, everybody? Welcome to the Decentralized Masters podcast. I'm your host, Tristan, and I'm here today with my co host, Jon. We're here to guide you through the ever changing world of DeFi, one strategy at a time. Every week, right here at the Decentralized Masters YouTube channel, we go live at 2 p.m. Eastern Time to bring you the latest insights, updates, and tools to help you in the DeFi space. How are you doing today, Jon?
I'm doing pretty good, man. How about yourself?
Not too bad. Not too bad. Things in the market are pretty good. They're not bad. There's you can't really point to anything and say, "Oh, this is bringing us down." Things are just moving along.
Yeah, I mean, I'm honestly interesting because I know Bitcoin was pumping and the rest of the market's really not. So I've been getting a few questions regarding that. So I figured it's just really because of just the uncertainty of the market, would you say?
Yeah, yeah. There's still, of course, there's lots of debt. Interest rates are still high. It's still risk off environment. All it takes is Trump to mention tariffs, and things go down again.
Yeah, and everyone panics.
Yeah, all it takes is the T word, but it could be worse. It's definitely a different environment than we were in April.
Yeah, most definitely. I guess it's for the good and for the bad at the same time because due to the fact that last month we had a very positive month in the market. A lot of us, I know you and I didn't, but most people expected the market to have a continuation. And we talked about how before we have that continuation, we wanted to go ahead and see some sort of correction happen before we see that, right? So, right now, with what we're experiencing, it's nothing out of norm. Stock market has already hit record highs as of yesterday. I'm not sure how it's doing today. I haven't really taken a look. But what are your thoughts about the stock market too? Like, do you think that's going to continue to go?
Yeah, so we hit all-time highs on the Nasdaq. That was yesterday. I think we are up again today on the S&P 500. So we are also just about at an all-time high. We're just a few points off from February's all-time high. I think it will continue to go on, to be honest. I think there's not a
Yeah,
lot
we
of
we
events that I
broke
can
it,
point to.
man. We broke um, back in December's and February's all time high. We're up right now. Where we're currently at right now, we're up about let's see, about almost a 1% move. So this is looking pretty good. This is definitely some good
Yeah.
news, right? Because this is what we were talking about yesterday during Let's Talk Crypto. We mentioned how we were, at least I was pretty concerned about this part right here with the Nasdaq. How, of course, because of resistance, this is usually a zone of a lot of selling pressure. So the fact that we were actually able to break above that today, that's some really positive news. And I actually mentioned that if you remember yesterday on Let's Talk Crypto, I
Mm.
said probably by the end of the week we'll see some sort of breakout leading into the Nasdaq. Now the question is, and the question we're all waiting for is, will it be able to hold? That's always a key important areas to keep in mind. When a resistance or a support is broken, can that go break above again, or will it break below and hold? So right now for Nasdaq, it is looking pretty good. Um, Gold also seems to do pretty good today too. A little bit neutral actually. I had a short open on gold yesterday, last night. Decided to close it. I was like,
Yeah, I was thinking though, if you're bullish S&P 500, bullish Nasdaq right now, that's not. You could also play the other side of that and do short gold, just as a bit of a hedge. Well, not much of a hedge actually. That's not the correct word, but it'd be like a what's the word when you have like a double play?
mm,
There's a
correlation.
specific word, and it's just not coming to mind.
Correlation.
Yes, correlation, yeah, an inverse correlation.
Yeah, so gold has been a little neutral. Not much has been going on, but I was expecting gold to start falling here, but it just seems like it doesn't know what to do. Does it want to go up? Does it want to go down? It's very neutral right now, considering the fact that the stock market has made new all-time highs, and it looks like also now the Dow Jones is still far away. So the Nasdaq is really the only thing that has really taken off, surprisingly. But the Dow Jones is still down, and then the S&P, as you mentioned, we're near that all-time high in February. So we're about to have that breakout in the S&P as well. So it looks like the Nasdaq has been the leading the leader in this market right now, which goes along with Bitcoin. So we've been actually seeing Bitcoin do pretty well today, surprisingly. Wasn't expecting this. So let's go ahead and get rid of this real quick. And we're seeing Bitcoin right now at around this 107, 108. So far, Bitcoin has been holding on pretty well. Let's go ahead and take a look at crypto bubbles real quick. We're going to look into some charts, and then I'm going to pass it over to Tristan because I personally don't have much to talk about today. So take a look at the fear and greed chart right now. We do see 50 on the fear, but we do see an increase on Bitcoin dominance, as we've mentioned. So Bitcoin dominance is definitely right now on the rise, as opposed to the altcoins. That's why we haven't really seen the altcoins do anything. For any of you that have been questioning this, isn't it kind of impressive how we were like in greed? What was it last week? Now we're back in fear so quick.
The market is bipolar.
Super bipolar.
Yeah.
Greed and then fear. Like literally, a few days ago we were like very really greed, very greed, whatever the terminology they use here, and now we're back at the fear area. Now, looking at the crypto bubbles on the weekly, we see a little bit of green. Syrup, for some reason, has been performing pretty well. I don't know why. Used to be called Maple. They rebranded themselves back in April, I believe, or March. I can't recall, but they rebranded themselves. Looks like it worked out pretty well for them. But yeah, syrup right now is going up. I don't know for what reason. Do you happen to know?
Syrup, no. I could point to a few reasons why Say is up, but syrup is something that I'm not following.
So tell us about Say.
Ooh, Say. So Say just had its first ETF application go through. It was by Canary Capital. Say itself was a great blockchain. Jon and I were even saying that it was at a really good point of entry. I think it was 2 or 3 weeks ago on the podcast.
Yeah, we've been saying it for months.
Yeah, we've been looking at it. I speaking of podcasts though, the founders of the Say network were on the DeFi Decoded podcast. So that's with Alex Topscott. Really good podcast as well if you want to check that one out. But they were just on there as well. So Say is a really interesting blockchain as well. So there's good fundamentals behind it, but also, yeah, it had a really good technical setup. So, and it's really far down from where it was. So Say has lots of good things going for it. And we'll continue on a little bit more later in the pod about that.
Yeah, I always get the question asked with Say, like, what is Say's value? I always compare it to like Say being like, I always hear Say being like the Solana killer, like that's what it was supposed to replace. So is Sui. So I mean, it feels like a lot of these layer ones, that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to replace one blockchain. But I think now we've gotten to a point, and I'm not sure if you feel the same way, where maybe I'm not paying attention to too much on crypto Twitter, but it doesn't seem like now with a lot of these blockchains, especially in DeFi, a lot of people are not like diehards for one blockchain now, if that makes any sense. Because before we had like the super ETH maxis that wouldn't touch anything else, only Ethereum. And then same thing with any other asset class, right? Or like the Bitcoin maxis. Now we have so many layer ones with so many opportunities. And I think I think a lot more people are now willing to try out new platforms. Sui has been a really top performer. We have Aptos also that has been doing pretty well. That was that blockchain is what from? Oh no, I'm confusing it with Abstract. It's a brand new blockchain too. Basically, the founders of Pudgy Penguins are the creators of that blockchain. So we're seeing a lot of like now layer one, something that we didn't see before in the previous cycle, like Hype coming out with their own blockchain. Right now they have the Hype blockchain, which just recently came out, I think a few weeks ago, if I'm not mistaken, or has it always been a thing?
No, it only came out a few weeks ago. You're right.
So Hype blockchain, we have the Uni blockchain too. So there's a lot of blockchains now.
Fun.
Yeah, not fun. There's a lot of blockchains now with their own, a lot of tokens with their own blockchains now that are not just running on like ETH anymore, but they went ahead and decided to create their own blockchain, which really says a lot because I think this is the first time we've seen that many layer ones grow so quick. Like look at Barachain. I'm not sure if you would consider Barachain a layer one, but what would you consider a Barachain?
I'd still say layer 2,
right? Because it's basically running on EVM.
Yeah, I'd still say layer 2. Well, what do you call hyper EVM? Layer 1, layer 2.
I have no idea.
I'm almost saying that even hyper, the new hyper blockchain, that one is still kind of layer 2 because it's just EVM, right?
Well, yeah. Well, it's a. I mean, I guess it would be a layer 2 because it was running on Arbitrum, but their blockchain. I don't know if their blockchain's even running on Ethereum. I mean, I'm assuming it probably has some Ethereum in order to transact because I saw it on Beefy. Hype. That's why I found out about Hype having their own blockchain. If we go over to Beefy, they actually now have liquidity pools on there, which a lot of you that are in our program should be familiar with Beefy. For all of you that might not be aware of, Beefy is a platform that we utilize when it comes to playing with some liquidity pools. And we're going to go and take a look at all the new blockchains. They've come out literally in the last year. Like in the last year, we did not have this whole entire roll of blockchains. We probably only had like less than 5 blockchains in here. Look at all the blockchains we have now. Yeah. And Hyper EVM
is Hyper. Oh yeah.
Yeah. So what does this consider? Like that's a great question. Layer 1 or layer 2 at that point?
Yeah. Well, if you look on Rabby Wallet or MetaMask, both are primarily EVM blockchains. You can have the new Hyper EVM blockchain right there in Rabby. So I'm considering it layer 2. Maybe I'm wrong in my terminology, but at the moment I'm considering it layer 2.
Yeah, I kind of consider a lot of blockchains that are utilizing EVM as a layer 2 in some sort. Now the question is, do you know if this for Hyper EVM, do they use the Hyper token as gas fees? Or what are they using like for gas fees in this case?
Ooh, that's a good question. It might be the Hyper token.
I'm assuming, right?
I think it is. I did help a member of ours buy some hype tokens. We had to bridge it over. We used dBridge to do the bridge because you couldn't do it right in Rabby, and it wasn't on Portal. So yeah, but I think you need the Hyper tokens to actually get it to actually use it as gas.
Yeah, I'm assuming it's pretty interesting. And you also have Say right here. Say, as we were talking about, some pretty good juicy pools on Beefy. But anyways, enough with Beefy. We're not really going to touch on too much on Beefy because we want to go ahead and talk about what's going on with the market. So on the hourly, we see a little bit slightly green. Nothing too impressive, to be completely honest. As I mentioned, Bitcoin is definitely impressive in my eyes. I was expecting a little bit more of a struggle, but it looks like we might have this breakout. I think we might actually even get closer to breaking above back to new all-time highs. What are your thoughts about that, man?
No, institutions are still buying Bitcoin like it's going out of style. And I guess maybe it is. There's only 21 million. So there's only, the institutions are still loading up on Bitcoin. Retail is selling Bitcoin at the moment. So I think some of what I've heard around the grapevine is that retail is selling, institution is buying. So
has retail
say again?
Has retail given up?
Maybe they're switching to their altcoins. Maybe they think that this altcoin season is going to come. But yeah, the institutions are just still continue to load up on Bitcoin.
Yeah, I mean, I see right here that there was already 1.5 billion in inflows this week, mostly coming from BlackRock's iShares Bitcoin Trust. This is insane, which nearly
Crazy.
about 52 billion since launch. So yeah, institutional definitely is pushing this. Now, as far as Bitcoin, man, and as far as the market overall, I mean, July's tend to be a bearish month,
Hmm.
pretty bearish. Like I don't think I've seen a cycle yet, except for 2017. I think it was like 2017 July or going into 2018. I can't remember, but that was the only time I remember where Julys were actually kind of bullish. Where July started to do good. Also, I guess back in 2020, because if we go back to 2020, I believe around July, actually the market did start to take off. This is right here. So this is 20. No, this is 24. So let's look at 2020, 23, 21, 20, back here. So this is 2020 for Bitcoin. We see this is where July, August. We usually see a little bit of some green coming up, which is around the zone right here, and then we usually leading into like August, September. We see this consolidation phase from September leading all the way to October, and usually October is when we start to see the market rip, and this is what we saw back in 2020 when this bull run actually like started, and we saw this massive run up all the way up, just continuing almost for what seemed to be almost a year straight of just almost going up. Now, do you think we're going to see a similar move to that?
Possibly. I got two reasons why I side with that. First one being, even in the stock market, the summer months tend to be slow, low volumes, downward months. There's the saying, "Sell in May and go away," and that's because there's not a lot of volume in summer. A lot of the institutional investors, a lot of investors in general, they go on vacation. They're out in Saint Tropez, down in Mexico, or they're off in their lake cabins, and they're not looking at the market. So you see a lot of low volume months in June, July, August. And then they come back in the fall, and that's when you see a lot more action in the market. And so that coincides with not only stock market, but you've seen that also with crypto markets. The other reason that I also think that would be happening is because June, July, it's the Fed is not. We're not getting rate cuts. I'll publicly drop my seed phrase if we drop rates in July. But
Make sure it's an empty wallet, though.
yeah, definitely. But come September, yeah, I think we could definitely the potential for a rate cut is a lot higher. Even Jerome Powell was very dovish as he was talking to Congress and the Senate yesterday and the day before. So I do think as long as nothing crazy goes on and the tariffs don't kick back up again, I think we might be able to see a rate cut in September.
I wanted to ask you. So one thing I've noticed is that, and of course, different time of the market, but back in 2020, we literally just saw like almost Bitcoin was seemed to go just straight up in a line. And when we go ahead and look at what we've been through this cycle, we've been into a lot of consolidation and a lot of BS. If you really notice, like there's been nothing but like we consolidate for almost like a few months. Like if you keep in mind right here, back in 2020, we had the consolidation between December, consolidating all the way towards what was that, February? So it was almost 67 days before we saw that rip going up. And then we saw this back in early March of 2024, where this one, I remember this one. This was the worst one. We literally saw consolidation for almost a whole entire year. 237 days of just like sideways action before we started to see the market finally rip back in November of 2024. Now, I always hear about, this time is different, this time is different because of institutional interest. But if we actually go ahead and zoom out and look at the correction that Bitcoin had just recently in January, we actually saw a pretty aggressive correction of about 31%, which the stock market also saw a very, very, very big correction, very similar to the pandemic correction that we saw. If we go all the way over here, I think I might have to show you the NASDAQ map.
20, yeah, NASDAQ.
NASDAQ will probably give us more data. But if you go ahead and look at the NASDAQs to what we saw back in 2020, look at this. A super V-shaped recovery. Like we literally had February dumped, panic, and then just bounce. And then next thing you know, new all-time highs are being made in the whole entire stock market. And then right now, going back to what we just experienced with stocks, this was the whole entire fear narrative of tariffs, which is the scary word nowadays. We saw a pretty big correction in the stock market of 25%. So it's pretty interesting to see that. I think personally, we will still have these big corrections. People think that because institutions are here now, there won't be those corrections. If anything, I feel like there will be more of those corrections because institution has always had the ball game of knowing how human psychology works, and they understand how people are going to react during certain times in the market. Like they know most people are not going to be buying as it's falling; they're going to be selling, and they're getting it at a discount, right? But what happens after they push it and get it at a discount? They massively go ahead and reverse it. By the time most people start buying into the market, they start buying like once we're like a near top. And then next thing you know, like I don't know where the top will be for this, but it could probably look something like this where, we're almost near top. Retail finally feels comfortable, and this is the top. And then this is why retail usually always gets wrecked, because retail usually never is willing to buy right here. They're more willing to go ahead and buy at the top right here, because around the top, this is where there's so much positive bullish momentum. People are sharing, whether it's on Reddit or things like that, how much money they've made trading cryptocurrencies, stocks, options. And now everyone wants to go ahead and play with it. And that's usually where the top comes in. So do you think we will still see those kind of corrections with Bitcoin? I mean, we just saw a 30% correction from January to what we saw now. So this has been a pretty aggressive correction, an aggressive correction that we haven't seen in a very long time during this cycle. If you go back, like the biggest corrections we've had, I think, is besides the 30% one that we just saw right here, was this recent one, I would say, back right here in March of 2024. This was a pretty aggressive correction of about 32%, but this one didn't happen right away. It happened over time. It was like consolidation, slowly went ahead and dumped, slowly got rejected. This was also a flash crash event where it was a liquidation event. I remember this happened at midnight, and as soon as that happened, market reversed. So, what are your thoughts about that, man?
Yeah, so even at that flash crash that we just had with the tariffs, institutional money has been buying. Like, they've been buying since the ETFs came out. So to say that we're not going to get corrections anymore just because institutional money is here, I think is false. Does it mean that maybe they will be maybe not as deep as they have been in the past in crypto? Potentially, because they're going to be the first people to say, "Oh, Bitcoin is at a deal right now. I'm going," and they're going to buy $2 billion worth of Bitcoin right then and there. So yeah, I think maybe the crashes and the pumps that we're going to get won't be as deep because institution will be fast to buy and fast to sell. But I don't. We're still definitely getting corrections but we're also going to get face melting rips still. So just not as bad as it used to be.
One thing that I found very interesting when I was zooming out on this chart, and I guess why this is why a lot of people were saying that this is a near top, right? We look at Bitcoin back in 2021. We see in 21 we saw this big correction of over almost 50% for Bitcoin right here, corrected about 54%. May, June 2021. Wasn't this during the Ukraine and Russia 21 around here? I believe. I think it was May, June 21. I believe it was, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
May.
so, correct?
And then it finished off with like the FTX. So like when once we went back up, that's when then we started coming down again, and officially the bear market started. That was like kicked off by a few FTX, and then there's a few other things. I think
Celsius.
Celsius, Terra.
Yeah, another one called. It was another Voyager too.
Oh yeah,
Voyager
Voyager
went
Digital.
bankrupt, and they were publicly traded too in the stock market. So
Hmm.
those got wrecked. But a lot of people are comparing this to what we had right there back in that time. So you're saying that this was during the FTX right here? This is like the
Yeah,
last resort for
that
FTX.
kind of kicked it off. And then also we got a rate. The rates started going in the opposite direction where they started hiking.
So that's why we saw that big, massive correction. So if we go ahead and look at that, it almost looks very similar, man. I mean, look at this. Dump, Bitcoin, dump. So you know how we've been saying that I think we might be close to an end of a market. Like I think what we're looking at right now, this is where the market's currently at right now. Like this, like what we're seeing this right here, what we saw back in 21 September, we saw that V-shaped recovery and then we saw that correction. This kind of looks like what we're experiencing right now. V-shaped recovery, correction.
Hmm.
So it does definitely show us, and it is signaling that we might be having this might be the last run. Like, so not trying to get any FOMO into any of you, but if you haven't, bought the dip and you're still down a lot on your positions, if you have extra money laying around, I would consider bringing down your average on these positions because these buying opportunities are not going to be here for long. And you're more than likely going to regret the fact that you didn't put in at least a couple hundred dollars, couple grand into your position into bringing it down on your average. Instead, you're going to go ahead and probably wait for the whole entire market to reverse when you could have bought in at a 60% discount, right? So this could be signaling to Bitcoin topping at that 150. So definitely signs are being shown for Ethereum. Ethereum is doing okay. Like I said, right now we're in a Bitcoin favored market at the moment once again, but I do think we will start to see the strength pick up on Ethereum relatively very soon as well. Any thoughts about Ethereum right here?
Yeah. So I'm going to point to the ETFs again here. Bitcoin and Ethereum, they both had the grayscale trusts. I'm not sure if you're familiar, but they were like
Yeah,
ETFs that you
BTC,
could
right?
get. Yeah, they were like ETFs before you could get the ETFs. Um, when those when the real ETFs finally kicked off, you could sell your positions in the grayscale ones for a little bit of a premium. So a lot of people, were selling ETH as soon as the ETFs kicked off, and that's why the ETFs for ETH specifically suck. Like no one, the ETH didn't perform any better. But on that same note, now that a lot of that selling has come and gone for Ethereum and Bitcoin, um, ETH will start to pick up here, assumingly, not financial advice. Um, as soon as these other ETFs also get approved, so we have like all these other ones like Solana, Suise, Doge, uh, Tron. There's a lot of I'll talk about more, but there's a lot of ETFs in the work right now, and they are going to come with the power of staking. Uh, and Ethereum ETFs at the moment they're out there, but they don't have that staking power. But as soon as they do, I think a lot of investors, especially institutional ones, are going to be really interested by an interest-bearing ETF for Ethereum, for a crypto token. That's good. That's really attractive for investors. So I am very bullish ETH still. Some of my members have been calling for ETH all-time highs. I'm not that optimistic, but I do think we got some room for Ethereum here.
Yeah, Ethereum is definitely looking pretty good. I think it's definitely also showing signs of this recovery. So as long as Ethereum could go ahead and hold around this $2,300 range, we should be doing very good. By the way, everyone, welcome in. Smash that like button, turn on that post notifications. You guys are just tuning in, but yeah, things are looking very positive. We'll see where things go with the stock with the alts. But yeah, the altcoins right now are not really doing much, even though Bitcoin is performing pretty well. So we'll see where things go for the market. But that's it on my end. I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to you, Tristan.
All right. So here we go. We got a little presentation today, as always. Excellent. Alt season is here, just not the way you expected. So what I'll explain what that means in the presentation. But just because we haven't seen a typical alt season that you and I are used to in previous cycles, doesn't mean that there isn't certain spots of the crypto market that are in, as you would say, alt season. But we will get into that. So first things first, we got a little bit of news about the ledger. A lot of our, I know a lot of our members and a lot of people just all over in crypto all use Ledger. Ledgers are terrific tools. Basically, instead of having a 24-word seed phrase, you can now use this new fancy card. And you just tap it on your Ledger. So in this case, it's only for the Ledger Flex and Stacks wallets. But now you just have an NFC smart card, tap it on your card, and now that would be the equivalent of restoring your wallet with a 24-word seed phrase, but in just a little bit of just a little card form. So shout out to Ledger, great product. I think that makes things a lot easier for people. I know that there are many broken heart stories about someone writing down their seed phrase and then they spell a word wrong, or they write a wrong word in a wrong spot, and they lose access to all their funds. So great technology here. If you have a card, as long as you don't lose it, I'm sure they give you two, but as long as you don't lose both cards, you're not gonna spell a word wrong. You're not going to write down a wrong word. So this is a great project by Ledger. So shout out to you guys. Also, Poly Market, so the gambling futures market. So they're raising another $200 million, and this would officially bring them to a $1 billion status, making them a unicorn. And you know what? Well deserved. I think Poly Market has done incredible growth over the last about year and a half now. It was super popular during the US 2024 election. There was 1.2 million traders and $1.1 billion a monthly volume just in May 2025, despite US users not being allowed to use it. They also entered into a partnership with Elon Musk and the X platform in 2025. So now you have the Grok AI also built into the Poly Market platform, and it will give you analysis and a general understanding of the different Poly Market. What are they? Different Poly Market projections, for lack of a better word. But yeah, no, good on them. Paxos. So we have been talking quite a lot about this actually in the Decentralized Masters community recently. Paxos's main token, or the one that they're known for, is PaxG. So PAXG. That is a gold-backed cryptocurrency. So one PaxG trades for the same price of 1 ounce of Troy gold. So at the moment, Jon was talking about shorting gold. So One thing you could potentially do is you could short PaxG, and it would be like shorting gold, but through a decentralized crypto way. Um, but we're not talking about PaxG specifically. The actual Paxos platform, so the company that made it, Paxos has seen huge demand for their product in their stablecoin division. So Paxos not only makes PaxG, but they are also responsible for other tokens like USDG, which is a very similar token to something like a USDC or a USDT. They also have a few different tokens, yield-bearing tokens for stablecoins as well. So some that are tied to the US 10-year Treasury. They give you like a 4% something or other yield. So Paxos has been firing in all cylinders. Other companies are also approaching Paxos to build stable coins for them. So I think potentially people like PayPal have gone to Paxos to get their stablecoin made. So there is a PayPal stablecoin, and I think it was done in part with Paxos. Might be wrong on that. You might fact check me on that. But lots of interesting things coming out of the Paxos company. What do you think about these stablecoin providers, John? I know we'll talk about Circle more about this, but Circle's been performing, massively well. Paxos apparently also performing very well. What do you think about this?
I think a lot of businesses are finally catching on that stablecoins are one of the ways for them to make money, bring in more revenue, but also have that control that they need and want. One perfect example is uh, J.P. Morgan announced, what was it, 2 weeks ago, that they're going to be coming out with their own token called JPDM, um, which is going to be catering for commercial banking. So I think what a lot of banks now and a lot of other businesses, such as Amazon and Walmart, um, they pay very, very high for these conversion fees whenever we're using our debit card or credit cards. They need to go ahead and pay the processor a certain amount of percentage every time someone comes in and taps with their card, right? So they're noticing that they could go ahead and bypass that through stablecoins. That's why Walmart and recently Amazon mentioned that they might be considering of coming up. They're exploring stablecoins to start offering that within their platform. So I think that's what is really giving a lot of companies more of that. What is it called? More of that value, because also when companies get chargebacks, they also get charged for that. So there's a lot of things that like our traditional banking system that a lot of business owners, especially small business owners, do not like. So I think that's one of the main reasons why a lot of companies, we're seeing them explore stable coins. Now I'm a little concerned about it to be honest, because like how are like there's so many stable coins now. Like how are we going to know which one to go for? Like there has to be an incentive for one over the other, right? So I don't know. Maybe we're in a stablecoin bubble, and I think that might be it because there's just way too many stablecoins now.
Yeah, there's so many coming. And I'm going to echo that concern. There's going to be, I would say there's going to be maybe a black swan event at some point about some large stablecoin blowing up again. It's not like we haven't seen that before. We saw the Terra Luna stablecoin blow up. So it's not, once in a while, some stablecoin does blow up. It's not uncommon in crypto. But now with this huge wave of different stable coins coming in, I definitely think it'll probably happen. And you see, it's like and it's great for these other businesses, like you mentioned, Walmart, Amazon, small businesses, because you don't got to pay Visa or MasterCard anymore. And not only do you not have to pay Visa or MasterCard, you can actually make money because you have to have, well, for not all of them, but some of them, most stablecoins have to have that US dollar backing. So for every stable, so for, well, let's say WM, UD, so that will be the Walmart stablecoin, WMUD. For every WMUD out there, there has to be a US dollar. So now those WMDs are in circulation. Customers are using it to buy for things, chargebacks, et cetera, et cetera. But they also have a US dollar savings account that they have for those WMUDs. And now they're getting an interest rate on that. So instead of paying a party like MasterCard or Visa to process all these transactions, they are actually now making money on their stablecoin. So it's almost a no-brainer for a lot of businesses to go down this route, and that's probably why you see all of PayPal going down it. So yeah, we're in a very interesting stablecoin
And
market,
I
and it
wanted to mention too. I think also institutions are kind of now seeing this as a threat. But like one thing that I just recently saw with Coinbase, I'm not sure if you've seen it, but Coinbase is actually partnering up with American Express to release an American Express crypto card, which is really freaking cool. Which is actually going to
that's
come with a
cool.
lot of services there as well. So really interesting to see how these partnerships are now going. They're spreading and they're becoming. There's more awareness within the space. I mean, the fact that they're considering in the U.S. Utilizing crypto assets as a form of an asset when it comes to applying for a mortgage. You know yourself as a realtor that you've been in the past, how that could be very important for this generation, right? Because this generation, most people will probably have cryptocurrencies.
Definitely, definitely. We are the Gen Z generation of crypto. That is definitely for sure. Because we're not buying houses because we can't afford them.
Yeah.
Uh, Speaking of stablecoins, this is on that same vein. Uh, John was just saying actually that if so many stablecoins coming out, what is going to be the reason to pick one over the other? And then to that, I would say one of my favorite stablecoins out there is USDY, which is a US dollar stablecoin that is produced by Ondo. So Ondo is the real world asset company, real world asset project. USDY is a stablecoin they made, and you are actually rewarded for holding Ondo, USDY, because it is backed by 10-year treasury bonds. So the price of Ondo started at $1, but now it's somewhere like $1.10. The chart for USDY is just as diagonal upward direction. It doesn't go down, and that's just because it's constantly being plugged with the US 10-year treasury bond. So you're getting a 4%, 4.3% yield on USDY just because you're holding it without even having it in any DeFi protocols or anything. Well, you're doubling up on the yield once you use it in a protocol like Scallop or something. So now you're getting yield not only from the protocol, but the token itself. So I think the tokens that will reward you, the stable coins that reward you in some way for holding them, will be the ones that win out in the end. What the article is saying, though, is what John was worried about is some of these tokens are going to be backed on things that aren't quite as strong as things like the 10-year treasury bond. People are going to build stable coins that are backed on corporate bonds, which would be interesting. But if there's too many junk bonds in there, or maybe a mortgage-backed security bond, and then if we see another issue in the housing market, well, that stable coin's going to go kaputs. So as we see these new entries into the market, you just want to make sure that they're being built properly, and then they're not being backed up by something that could be detrimental. But yeah, I'm super excited about the way stablecoins are going. Besides Bitcoin, stablecoins are probably the second greatest innovation that has come out of crypto. And speaking of stablecoins, real quick, South Korea and their 8 largest banks are in the works of making a won pegged stablecoin. That should be coming up by next year sometime. And I can almost guarantee along the lines of that, you'll have South Korean stablecoins that are backed up by the equivalent of a 10-year treasury for South Korea. Maybe it'll come with a higher yield, but then maybe the value of the Korean won might slip So you get these different market dynamics that we traditionally had in foreign exchange markets starting to bleed into crypto. Into treasury companies now. So, your MicroStrategy, your Soul Strategies, your MetaPlanet. We have a new entry into that market. So this is a Norwegian mining company, deep sea mining company, sorry. They are going to be raising $1.2 billion to buy Bitcoin, as well as adopt some blockchain into their business. I think that little blip is just about probably that's just kind of hype to add some buzzwords in there and get some media attention. What's really important here is they're going to buy 11,000 Bitcoin. And you can see here I included their stock chart in the below. What am I trying to say? There's a picture of their stock chart here as well. It's surged up 300% after the announcement. So basically at the moment, this is what I'm saying about there's an alt season out there. It's just not the way you expect it, and it's in TradFi, it's in traditional finance, it's in the stocks. Any company, any random company around the world right now, something as random as a Norwegian mining company can say that they're going to start adding Bitcoin to their balance sheet, and the stock will take off 300%. So we are seeing, a little bit of craziness in the market. Is just not in the places that we would expect.
We're seeing an IPO season.
Yeah, we're seeing IPO season. We had ICO season a few years ago. Now we're getting IPO season. This one is this I should have put before the last one about the treasury companies. But we're also getting there is also a Russian ruble backed stablecoin called A7A5. This is kind of a sneaky way, because if there was a proper Russian ruble stablecoin, I would bet there would be lots of sanctions around that. But this one is made by Grinex, which is a crypto exchange based out of Kyrgyzstan. So that's out there in the Central Asia, kind of between Afghanistan, Kazakhstan, and China. Little smaller country, but actually surprisingly very crypto friendly. But also very Russian friendly, and that's why we're seeing like some interesting ways that the Russian market is getting into crypto as well at the moment. So you can actually see that on CoinGecko, Russian ruble A7A5 stablecoin.
It's a pretty cool name. A7.
Yeah, A7A5. I don't know how the average person is going to be like, oh, I wonder what this is pegged to. Is this the Russian ruble? There's no way for a person to know that.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I like the name. How much is that going to be of A7A5? Imagine like going to the store and it's pretty interesting. Doesn't Russia also hold aren't they like one of the largest holders of gold?
Oh yeah, Russia is a massive holder of gold. If they're not the largest, they're second or third, and they're also very low debt. So compared to United States, Canada, France, the UK, Russia has very low debt, surprisingly.
So realistically, they could really create their own stablecoin and back it by gold.
Oh, totally, and that's what this country, Kyrgyzstan, has done. I think it was it's USHK or something, USHG. I talked about it a few weeks ago, but basically they made a stablecoin backed by the gold reserves of the country. Really cool. It was a really cool project. I'm
Cool.
watching it. Yeah, but it's it's something that needs to be watched, because just like any country in Latin America, any country in Central Asia, especially Kyrgyzstan, it's something, lots of corruption goes on. So you got to be wary of what's happening. Apparently the gold reserves will be audited though. So I hope it works. Also Coinbase. So back into TradFi. Coinbase stock has hit a 52-week high. It was up 42% as of yesterday. It might be up again today. I'm not sure. But it's driven by decent crypto market. Bitcoin is close to an all-time high, was at all-time highs. I know the altcoins are suffering, but the actual crypto market itself, including Bitcoin, it's not too bad. So Coinbase is performing very nicely. Jon and I have talked on here before. Like, it's very difficult to get exposure to the Coinbase ecosystem because you could go with the Base network, but Base network doesn't have a token, so can't buy Base token. You could buy Aerodrome token, which is the largest exchange on Base. And then there was a few meme tokens on Base, Jon, which escaped my mind at the moment.
Base meme coins would be
Yeah.
Brett, which is a pretty good one. Toshi's a really good one. That one took off. Keyboard Cat is a really good one. All those three that I mentioned, actually two of those that I mentioned, are listed on Coinbase. So I do think we're also going to be seeing that run on meme coins on the Base chain. So I'd recommend a lot of you consider positioning yourselves either on a Base meme coins or AI narratives on Base. I think those are going to perform very, very well. And the fact that Coinbase is that's your blockchain Base. They're doing a lot of things, man. Like the XRP, I just found out about XRP recently, like 2 weeks ago, about what is it called, CBXRP or what is it?
Yes, it's XRPU or something. Basically wraps XRP on the Base
On the
network.
Base chain. Yeah, it's really
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah, we should just mention the word XRP, XRP, to see if our viewers here go up. Didn't work. Uh, but on that same note, the only way you would get exposure to Coinbase was either through the meme coins or Aerodrome. But or you could actually go into traditional markets through your brokerage and buy the Coinbase stock. However, due to an interesting project that I found called Backed, we'll share this one. This is tokenized stocks built for DeFi. So what they have here is what you think it is. It is a bunch of different stocks that they hold one for one. So you can actually see the proof of reserves here. So they have the S&P 500 token. You can have that in your Rabby wallet. I have the Coinbase token right here in my personal wallet here, just a little bit, just to prove to you that you can do this. They have S&P 500, and they have the collateral for it. They have 10-year treasury bonds. They got the euro bonds. You can see their actual proof of reserves right here, and you can see all their different stocked backed tokens. So you got Tesla, you got Nvidia, you got Microsoft, you got GameStop, Google, MicroStrategy, all here right on chain. Really cool stuff. So if you do want to get exposure to Coinbase in the most direct kind of way, you can just get Coinbase stock right here at on your wallet with WB Coin. And there's also some exchanges out there for it. You can get a liquidity pool with Coinbase token in it. In this case, this will be. Am I showing this right now? Aerodrome. Yeah, you can get the Coinbase stock token in a pool of USDC. Yield on it at the moment, not great, but the fact that it exists is what I find really cool.
What platform is that called?
This one's Aerodrome or Backed?
No, the other one, the stock one. Yeah.
Oh, it's called Backed. And actually, what's interesting here is if we go to.
So who's backing this?
well, Jon, that would be Backed. Backed is backing Backed. But there was an interesting tidbit here. Here we go.
So what they're doing, I'm assuming from what I understood from what you just mentioned. By the way, PM squared, hello. He says hello. Hello. What I was saying is, so what these guys are doing backed they're purchasing. They actually have these stocks on their balance, right? On
Hmm.
their reserves, and they're basically literally backing it 1 to 1. So it's almost like a kind of like an ETF.
Yeah, kind of like an ETF, but you could say that's almost identical to what PAX-G is,
Yeah, you're
except
right.
there's
Tokenized gold.
tokenized gold. And what's interesting here is they got this X stocks product that they're developing, but this is what Kraken is going to go with to get
That's what I just
tokenized
saw right
X.
now. That's crazy. I just
Yeah,
clicked on it and it said that. So yeah, I'm definitely going to be. So that's cool. We talked about this when we had the Kraken partnership, because we do have a Kraken partnership, by the way, guys. So I'm not sure if our link's down below. It's not. I don't think it is. We got to get that
I
posted.
don't
But
think so. Yeah.
with Kraken, we were actually mentioning how they're going to be tokenizing stocks. And we were wondering if we were going to be able to move those. So, do you think we'll be able to move these into like our ledger now?
Ooh, that's a good question. I think for apparently for the ones like that they have listed here, I think we would. So the Netflix, Meta, Robinhood, Coin, Amazon, Nvidia, Amazon. Oh, that's not Amazon. AstraZeneca, McDonald's, Apple. I think we will be able to potentially move those to our wallets.
Oh, it
See,
says
look
it.
at
That is
freely
insane.
transferable, no commissions, DeFi ready. This is right up my alley. I'm super
Wow.
excited.
I'm excited too, man.
Yeah. And look at that. It says yes, Kraken, but they're going to be on Solana, Phantom, and Phantom's decent. No, sorry, not Phantom. Orca and Camino and Drift are all decentralized networks. I mean, decentralized. They're all DApps. They're all decentralized applications. So I think we will be able to take these tokens and then put them on chain. So
So, can we
super
buy
exciting.
these now? Or are we still waiting for that?
For these ones, I think we're waiting. So the ones with like the Hood X, Coin X, I think these ones we're still waiting for.
But
But
don't you have a Coinbase on crypto? Coinbase stock? Didn't you show us yesterday on Let's Talk Crypto that you had some
mm, I,
stocks that you
I
purchased?
I have it. I have it right here in my Rabby wallet. You can still get Coinbase stock, but it's not through their X stocks platform. It is just through their token. So this isn't the one that
Oh, it's a
Crack.
Bitcoin.
Yeah, so this is no. This isn't the one that Kraken is going to use. This is their proof of reserves one. So this is just the one that they built themselves. So
Bitcoin,
there's
which is
two.
Bitcoin, right?
WB coin, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah. And you can pick that up on Aerodrome
it's
or
pretty cool. Yeah. Okay.
Avalanche,
Wait, they're
Balancer,
giving
Uniswap.
Nvidia a 21% APY. It's insane.
Oh yeah.
Tesla for 76%. It's pretty crazy. Cool.
PM Squared asks, will Chainlink help tokenize the stocks onto the blockchain? Hey, I'm not to speculate, but I think so. Chainlink is actually a really big player and is quite important for all real world assets. So if they want to have an accurate price, they use Chainlink's technology. Not I don't think every tokenized stock platform. I can't say if Backed is using them or not, but I think a lot of the real estate tokenized asset projects at the moment do use Chainlink as well. So yeah, I think Chainlink is very involved here. Will it be specific for this one? I can't say. Yeah, so super cool stuff coming. And on that topic of of that my centralized theme here for this presentation of there being an altcoin season happening. It's just not on DeFi; it's in TradFi. We do have Circle performing absolutely crazy, up 138% since it IPO'd. I'm not interested in it at the moment. I don't like buying IPOs not unless until they come back down. But huge success out of Circle. So that's the creator of USDC, the second largest stablecoin in the industry. And you can see here, MicroStrategy is up 30% year to date. MetaPlanet is up 345% year to date. Circle is up 134% year to date. That random Norwegian mining company that I was talking about, up 100 something percent. So all these different treasury companies are killing it in the market. And that is where I'm seeing this all season, is just that it's TradFi. And that's because it's really easy for big institutional money to get into those stocks rather than to get in a wallet and learn about DeFi and learn about decentralization and have 24-word seed phrases. It's just easy for them to go brokerage account, ticker symbol, buy, easy. So that's why we're seeing these kind of strategies, these, for lack of a better word, perform amazing. So with your investment strategy, when it comes to this altcoin season, I would be looking at things that have some sort of TradFi access. So Bitcoin and Ethereum, they both have ETFs. Here's a list of some ETFs that are also in the works. None of them are posted yet, but there's a very likely chance that the SEC does approve these. So we have Litecoin, Solana, XRP, Dogecoin, Cardano, Polkadot, HBAR, Avalanche, Sui, Tron, and a recent entry is Say as well. So anything that has a potential to become an ETF is something that I would be betting on at the moment, especially if we're going to get staking along with these ETFs. So, you'll get Solana staked ETFs, you'll get Cardano staked ETFs, Polkadot, Sui, Say. The staking that you would normally get through crypto will be part of the ETF. And like I said, that would be really interesting for institutional investors. So that's kind of where I'm seeing where our altcoin season might be hiding. Yeah, and this is just about Say, Canary Capital, stake Say, ETF filing. Canary Capital filed with the SEC for a spot Say ETF, aiming to track Say's price while staking a portion of its assets to generate additional yield for investors, whether that comes in some sort of dividend or just like an ETF buyback. I'm not exactly sure, but additional yield, always great. So Say has been, Say is up quite a bit on this news. Say is also a massive blockchain for gaming. It has the most gamers on it. It doesn't have the most gaming projects, but it has the most gamers on it currently. And it didn't say, what's interesting though, is Say never set out to be a gaming blockchain. Say just set out to be fast. They wanted to be really good for perpetuals. Like if you wanted to have a proper brokerage account that was they could execute trades in milliseconds. That's what Say's original purpose was. As I was listening to the founder on the DeFi Decoded podcast, he was saying that he was a very qualified individual in the financial industry. He worked for, I think it was Goldman, and he has part of all these different board of directors, so he knew what he was doing. But gaming was never in the equation for him, which is interesting. But Say has been quite popular with gaming. I know you're quite into gaming, John. Do you follow any kind of Say gaming projects? Are you aware of any?
No, I don't. I know a lot of gaming is coming back up. Like Sui has their own play device, which has been sold out. So I haven't followed the Say gaming. Is this mostly like computer games? Because I know the other gaming token that has been doing very well is AVAX. They've launched Off the Grid, which is running on AVAX, and then Maple Story. I'm not sure if you ever remember Maple
Oh
Story.
yeah, Maple Story. I know that one.
They
Yeah.
relaunched Maple Story on AVAX. So I haven't really heard much about Say. The thing is with like the gaming on crypto, there has been very little games that I think I've come across, and I'm like, these are cool. Besides Off the Grid, Off the Grid's pretty cool. I would say I really like Off the Grid. But besides Off the Grid, I wouldn't say that I have played any that are like super cool. I know Gala has been a big one with mini games, but I don't think I've ever had the chance to play that because I don't know what issues it was running into. So I feel like with gaming on some of these, it just makes it so like confusing or very difficult. So maybe Say is the solution to that, but I haven't personally dabbled into any of the Say games. I wasn't even aware they had had games on the platform, to be honest.
Yeah, no, neither did I. It wasn't until I was listening to the podcast that I did some digging. I was like, "Oh, what do you know?"
Yeah, crazy.
That's Say's massive into gaming. I had no idea. But I think with Avalanche, like I've no, I can't say for certain. Like I haven't listened to much of Avalanche's history. But it wasn't built for gaming specifically either.
It wasn't. No, it
No.
wasn't. But I don't know. I don't know what got the adoption of AVAX into gaming. I really don't understand that, but like AVAX is hitting a lot of narratives. It's hitting the real world asset narratives and also the gaming narrative. So they're going pretty hard at it with real world assets. As you know, AVAX has partnered up with the DMV of California to tokenize car titles. So that blockchain is already being used right now. So it's they're using it. I don't know what's going on. I'm not sure if they have really good connections. I don't know. It's like, why out of all the blockchains, why AVAX? I don't know. Maybe that's the underdog of AVAX. Who knows? But AVAX is also kind of pricey if you think about it when it comes to gas
Yeah.
fees. So that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know what is it about their technology. Maybe they have connections to these people, and you know, when that's the case, most of these people are not going to know the difference between, say, AVAX or Ethereum's blockchain.
No.
Right? They're going to be relying on the expert that's selling them on the vision or the product or the service. So it just so happens AVAX is really really involved already with real world assets. So I don't know what it is for AVAX, but yeah, AVAX has been pushing it very heavy on gaming too. I don't know why. No
Yeah.
clear answer to that.
If it was a lot of people, lot of tokens built on narratives and visions,
But keep
like
in mind
Cardano.
one thing I do want to mention though, the game on AVAX that is as I mentioned that I talked about off the grid is running on PlayStation, Xbox, and PC. Of course, PC not surprising, but PlayStation and Xbox that's like something else. No one has done that yet, and that's where the interesting, cool thing is that you don't even need to know anything about blockchain. If you play this game, it's not like you're gonna have to set up a wallet. You don't even know that. You know what I mean? So that's a very cool thing about what they're doing. So AVAX is really killing it. I think it's going to be a game, not a game, a blockchain that it's really underrated, and as well, like Ninja, the streamer, is also promoting Off the Grid. So apparently, right now, from what I'm seeing, so 5 games are coming soon. So it looks like maybe Destiny's also going to be running on AVAX, which is pretty interesting.
Hmm.
And it looks like it might be Counter Strike too. So there's going to be Off the Grid, which we already have, TSM Blitz, um, and they have this other game called Sharp Panel, Domi Online, and then Fableborn. Might maybe like some sort of strategy game, but it's pretty interesting, man. I'm telling you, AVAX. I think if they could really nail that like Call of Duty like game, I think that's going to be the game changer for them, and it's going to bring in a lot more people interested into utilizing AVAX in that sense.
Mm. Yeah, I know, because I always think gaming is quite the good opportunity because most games have their own like in-game economy, and that makes the games actually interesting. Like in Pokemon cards, you pull the right Pokemon card, you just made quite a bit of money. So, having these in-game economies, it's quite the important
They're saying
narrative and
supposedly
great for crypto.
GTA is supposed to do that. They're saying that GTA, the new GTA 6, is supposed to be including some sort of cryptocurrency where you could go ahead and utilize that and use those funds and sell them in the open world and get money for them. So I don't know, man. I think where gaming is going, we're really going to be heading towards that. What is it called? That Ready
Ready
Player
Player
One.
One. Yeah.
We're one step closer, man. We're one step closer.
Yeah, one step closer. Very exciting stuff. No, it's never a dull day in crypto. Always something going on. Good place to be. That's all I had to cover today.
Awesome. I mean,
Unless there's
that's
anything
it for me
else.
too. That's it for me. I don't have really much going on. I'm like looking at the whole entire list of games. If you type in like AVAX games, well, actually, I could just share it because you're done
Yeah,
sharing
go
it.
ahead.
These are all the AVAX games right now. There's multiple blockchains on them, like Polygon, Bitfighters. Sounds pretty cool. But these are the games that I was talking about earlier. Look, so this is Avalanche's Off the Grid. Let's see if you guys can see some gameplay on this. So I guess these are some of the games that are going to be coming, like Maple Story. This is Off the Grid. Oh, that Doom Online looks fun. I think I'm going to play that. That one looks pretty cool too.
Some sort of Valorant.
This kind of reminds me of what was that game?
RuneScape? Valorant?
No, the one that did very well last bull cycle.
Oh,
Axel.
Axie
There you go.
Infinity.
Axie Infinity. Yeah.
Oh god, yeah.
Yeah, but
We
there's a
don't like
lot
to
of
talk about
games.
that.
There's a lot of games on the blockchain. I mean, it's I think it's definitely going to be a game changer for this. And the thing is, like, most people are not even going to know they're using the blockchain technology to play these video games. And I think this is one of the best ways we could go ahead and bring awareness into blockchain. Is blockchain is confusing, it's complicated. So the last thing is you want to do is like having people having to download wallets to go ahead and play a video game. But I think if they could do it into an introduction like this, where it's almost very easy user experience, I think the adoption into crypto and play to earn is going to be coming in faster than what we expect.
Absolutely.
Looks pretty cool. It's running on Unreal Engine 5 graphics. So looks almost like a Call of Duty kind of game.
Yeah, as long as the players can play the game, they don't have to think about their wallet. It's great for them. And then if they want the wallet to get into use that in the real world, it's there. It's there for them. And, as long as they can still have fun, play the game without thinking about that, then it'll be successful, I think.
Yeah, hopefully it revives the gaming world too. I feel like the gaming world has just been very bad ever since.
Just in general, not even crypto gaming.
Yeah, I still game. Like, I have a PS5. I barely play it. I ended up getting Skyrim or Oblivion, which is like the first Skyrim that ever came out. And it's basically like role playing. So you're like fighting dungeons and monsters and things like that. Those are the kind of games I like. But that was a game that was out years ago, and it was just a remaster version. So they just made it with better graphics and resold it for $60. And like, it seems like that's what they're doing with a lot of video games now. They're just releasing them on the newer consoles for $60 plus. So like, there hasn't really been that much really good games that have been coming out that have captured, in my opinion, anything that too exciting. But maybe this changes with crypto. The thing is that with the gaming world, it's a sport now, man. The gaming world is a sport. It's an e-sport. So this is like it. Gaming has grown a lot. Nothing to what it was 10, 20 years ago. Now we're at a whole different area with gaming, and it's more seen as a money grab. These companies are seeing that they can make a lot of money, because I'm not sure if you've noticed with FaZe, they ended up going public, and that company had billions, man. So like, a lot of investors are now realizing that gaming is where they could go ahead and capture a lot of audience, advertise, have streamers. So they're seeing that there's definitely some money to be made there. And that's why we're seeing gaming really push to this next level. But with blockchain, I think that's also going to change the narrative.
Yeah, very exciting stuff. We got a gaming research project coming out. So if you
We
want to
do.
see that, make sure to join. I'm not sure if the free group gets it, but join the free group. Maybe there'll be a bit of tidbits about it in there. So that won't be. Maybe we can get that in the description. If not in this live stream, it'll be in the last one or the next one after that. And on that note, we will end the podcast here. Thanks for tuning in this week to this week's episode. I hope you're walking away with some clear strategies and insights to push your DeFi journey forward. Remember, DeFi is evolving fast, and staying ahead means taking action with the right knowledge. If you're ready to dive even deeper and want your own DeFi roadmap to build your own success, check out our DeFi Masterclass. The link is in the description below in the video from last week. In the training, you'll receive clear hands-on strategies to maximize returns, manage risk, and truly make the most of what DeFi has to offer, right from all the mentors here, from myself, from Jon, and even our CEO, Tan. We make sure to like and subscribe, hit that notification bell so you don't miss next week's live episode. Until then, keep learning, keep growing, and I will see you here next time on Decentralized Masters.
Later, everyone. Take care.
Ciao.